Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday night. This is Friday Night Live with Warikoo. I sound like an RJ right now, which I'm not. But welcome. This is a every week affair where we spend 1 hour from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Friday night just discussing about life. Questions that you may have, things that I want to share, just exchange ideas, meet some interesting people, bring them on live, and just have a nice, happy time. And that's the way we bring the weekend in. And I hope all of you had a lovely week. It's been a long week for me. I got a lot of things done. I just concluded um, an online webinar on hiring and the hiring process that we used to follow at Nearby. And I love speaking and bragging about the HR processes that we had at Nearby because they were very unique, and I particularly think that we benefited a lot from that. So it was fun, and I have had two podcasts. One which is a surprise is going to come very soon. It's with one really great guy that I admire and adore a lot, and second one was the webinar. Anyway, so let's get started. Pooja Singh, what's the greatest strength a person should have? One thing and one thing alone, and that's courage. If you have courage, that essentially guarantees every other thing that happens to you. And honestly, that's the biggest thing you can ask for. It's also the hardest thing to find. But courage, I'd say courage is everything. All right, let's get started. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's webinar as well, for sure. Thank you for that. All right, let's get my first caller online and see who that can be. Let's bring Aditi Saraf online. Aditi, you're going live with me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds right now. What helps to build an emotional quotient? Listening.
I have a question. The thing which I find very difficult is staying away with family, and I have very low emotional quotient, so that affects that some. Otherwise, I am very dedicated towards my work. So, what would help me to build on my emotional quotient? So, if you can suggest on
I,
that, maybe.
I, I love how easily you said I am very low on emotional quotient, as if this
Yeah.
is like the coolest thing to say. But
No, it's
let's
not the
dig.
coolest thing to say. I
But
think it's the
I'd
worst thing.
no, and don't classify it. Okay, so don't put
Yes.
any adjectives. We'll figure this out.
Yes.
But help me dig deeper.
Yes.
What's the number one reason you think you are low on EQ?
I think I start crying. Like if my manager will say me something, I'll start crying in front of the entire universe. I think I start crying very easily. And yeah, that is it. And I feel lonely away from home.
Okay, all right. So those have nothing to do with EQ. Okay. So let me first try and give you a sense of what EQ truly is, and then we'll get to what you are experiencing, which is a very real emotion as well. So EQ, Aditi, will be all about you having the ability to understand your own emotions, and thus the ability for you to understand everyone else's emotions. So the ability for you to empathize, to step yourself into someone else's shoes, to realize what is it that they're going through and why possibly they could be going through what they're going through, that is EQ. It's very hard to get to because most of us don't even know why we're feeling what we're feeling. Like we are such poor judges of our own emotions, let alone figuring out कि किसी दूसरे इंसान को कैसा लग रहा है और क्यों लग रहा होगा. So that is EQ. And it's understandable then why it is very important for a leader to have EQ, because if you want to lead a team, it is critical that you understand not just your emotions, but those of your teams as well. Why do they feel what they feel? When do they feel what they feel? So on. So your boss, for instance, should be, if they are with high EQ, will be like, you know what? Aditi is someone who literally wears her heart on her sleeve, and she tends to emote and tends to maybe even break down if she's in a situation that is hard, that is stressful. So I have to deal with her that way, which is I will make sure that I never do anything to pinpoint or make her feel bad in a crowd. I make sure that I never say anything which comes across as an acquisition but is more like an opinion. I have to ensure that I never say anything which comes across as a fact. It should always come across as a feedback, so on and so forth. Right? And that is how ideally your boss should behave, should they get to know you very well and of course have high EQ. Okay? Now let's coming to what is it that you go through. So you shared that you feel lonely from away from home, which is a very understandable thing. There's nothing wrong about it at all. That's what you should feel. You're a human. You should be alive in that sense. And you tend to, at least in your admission, you tend to break down if someone comes hard on you or someone you just find yourself flustered and so on. The way that I will encourage you to think about this, and you're clearly very young, and it's wonderful that you are at least self-aware of this is something that you would want to question and resolve. One is, don't add a bad adjective to this. This has nothing to do with EQ. Okay, so let's just call that this is being Aditi. Don't add a bad adjective to being Aditi. The minute you start accusing yourself, putting pressure on yourself, making it sound like what you're going through is wrong and you should fix it, you're constantly under the pressure of, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And you will never get to a point, because the world is as it is harsh. You don't have to be harsh on yourself, because the world will do that for you. So you have to be very kind to yourself. Don't put yourself into these negative adjectives. Ask yourself instead, in what situations does being Aditi not help? This is me. This is who I am. This is who I am. In what situations does it not help? And then you may find, you know what, it doesn't help in A, B, C situations, whatever the case is. Then go to the next step, which is, in those particular situations, is there anything that can help me that I know of, that someone tells me, that I can remind myself, so on, so that in that particular instant, I am able to just absorb what is happening and not react.
Yes.
So focus on just that piece. Don't focus on your life and your identity and your personality in general. कि मुझे अदिति जो है उसको बदलना है, क्योंकि कोई बदलने की जरूरत नहीं है. तुम बिल्कुल सही हो, तुम बिल्कुल अच्छी हो, तुम में कोई खराबी नहीं है from the face of it. It is just, there will be some situations where being you doesn't help. And there, you just have to fix that particular small piece. That's it. And if you dig deep, you will find that out. You will find that answer. You're smart enough to find that answer. Ask your friends, ask your family, seek advice, try out a few things, but essentially don't put the pressure of solving this entire piece for you. Be very focused on, this is the small situation, circumstance, context in which I need to just be in control. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was very insightful. And I would like to mention, nothing inspires me more than entrepreneurship, from a small chai wala to the biggest entrepreneur. So you are the one of them who inspires me. So that is
Thank
why
you
I was
so
looking
much.
forward to this. Thank you, Ankur.
That is really nice of you, Aditi. All the
Thanks.
best. Have a wonderful time in Kolkata with family, with Swissry, and all the best for your move back to Bangalore whenever it happens.
Thank you. Have a
All the
nice
best.
day, Ankur.
You too. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
Wasn't that like a happy, very light conversation? Well, it wasn't light because I got deep into it, but wasn't she like this really nice, cute, pleasing personality? I love it. I just love when you meet so many nice people. Just all of, like, I did not know of this Aditi Saraf until literally 7 minutes back. No idea about her existence. And now there is a bond. Like, life just fucking fascinates me. It just blows my mind how many opportunities we sit on, how many relationships we can form that are meaningful, that can transform you meaningfully, or any small interlinkage within your lives in some way can just build on to something so meaningful, and like you don't even know what it is. But I love the approach. All the best. All right. Let Roshan, Karthik, Roshan, you're going live with me. 4, 3, 2, 1 now. So I have to tell
Yes.
this to everyone listening in. Um I got to know, I don't even remember at what point of time did you write into me or did I connect or whatnot. But what I do remember is Roshan
Uh,
runs this startup called Earth Focus, and they make this really cool, which is an attachment to a tap, which converts the water that's coming from the tap into, what would you call it?
it's a mist.
It's a mist. Yeah, that I think is the
Yeah,
best
it's a mist.
definition. It's
Yes,
misty, so
yes.
it just converts it into really fine. You almost feel like you're a
Don't see the
prince or a
water. Yeah.
princess. It's like, yeah, exactly. So it's basically a water saving device. Ali kind to
Yes,
send it
yes.
over to me. I tested it out. I gave him my feedback, and we've just exchanged notes ever since in some capacity or not. But how is it going, Roshan?
Yes. So right now we were on 100% shutdown for about 2 months
Okay.
with the lockdown because our manufacturing was shut down. But now we've picked it up and the whole B2B is completely off with supplying to offices or public places and everything. But we are trying to do a few online campaigns to reach to B2C alone,
Got
just
it.
through our website.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be easy, man, but
Definitely not easy. Yeah.
persist. It's
Yes.
yeah, it's not good. Great. Do you have a question for me, Roshan?
I have two. One is a very short question. I want to know
Okay.
what
The
you're
answer is
reading
yes.
currently.
I am. I forgot and I was just reading right before this live. You know what? The biggest problem with Kindle is that you don't remember the book. So I am reading this
Okay.
book about this guy who lost his eyesight, and then miraculously through a got it back. I don't
Okay.
remember, but why don't I ping you so that you will?
Yeah.
So the better answer is I'm reading 3 books at the same time. This is the first time that I'm doing it
Wow.
in my life, and I'm
Okay.
really enjoying it because I just pick up a book and I'm like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. So it's fun. It's fun.
Okay. And the second question is, so I'm someone who is, very shy, especially with putting out my point across in an argument or in a healthy argument or in a healthy debate. So I really don't know how do I come across not being sounding to not being a bully or just trying to win over the argument and just trying to defeat the other person, but genuinely trying to put my point across without sounding too bossy or anything. How do I do that? Uh, because
Um,
at the end of the argument, I'll be like, okay, you know what? I should have told this. I'll imagine situations. If I had told this, that's how it would have gone or something like that. So
Yeah. No, as Aditya Sharma shy hai. Everyone is to a great extent, and even I am. A lot of people are surprised when I say this, but I'm self-aware that I'm an introvert. I I do not feel very comfortable just approaching people by myself and making myself, all hey, I'm Ankur and da 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 da. And these videos, of course, can give a very different persona. But let me try and address your question. And it's funny that you asked me this question because I recorded a video this week which was specifically around that. And see if that helps you. I found it to be very interesting.
okay,
So this is something that Keanu Reeves, the Hollywood star, had shared.
yes,
He is also very shy by nature, and he was like, I find myself in situations where I have things to say, and people just don't want to listen. And so he came up with this hack, which I found to be very smart. And the hack is he realized that everyone wants to speak in this world. That's like the chase. Everyone wants to speak because everyone wants to be heard. So he allowed everyone to speak, and instead he was the one not speaking. Whenever he did speak, people listened with far greater intention than they would have otherwise. So his hack was, if you're in a group or in a discussion, resist the urge to speak at all right till the end. Don't share your point of
Okay.
view.
Yeah.
Just listen. Just almost like poker face. Listen to everything that has been shared. Listen to everyone. And then in the end, if you go out and say, I have something to say, people are far likelier to listen to you because you haven't shown any urge to talk until then.
That
And
sounds very.
yeah, and when I came across this story, I went back to the times when I felt that I did a good job of expressing myself, and I began to see those patterns where, if you're a CEO or a founder, you get into this curse where you feel that you should be contributing more, you should be the one speaking up, you should be the one channeling and anchoring the conversation, whatnot. But there have been times when I've sat in meetings and not said a word till the end. And I distinctly remember that at the end of that, if I did say something, that was far more impactful than me just rambling and babbling all through the conversation. I loved his. I just love his commitment. He's been at it for several months and years now, and it's a very hard space. It's a very hard space to be building hardware in this country. That too around water management, which honestly we don't care about because we think it's cheap, but of course it's super precious, but we don't give that the attention. And then of course things happen. Anyway, let me see if there is any Pooja has a question. You're always so positive. I also want to be in that positivity forever, but there's this lot of negativity around. How do I avoid it? Look, there are two types of negativity, Pooja. One is negativity that's happening around you in the world. We're clearly in that scenario. There are people losing jobs. There are people dying. There are people walking 400, 500,000 kilometers to reach fucking home. And that's just negativity. It's just everywhere. It's racism in the US and some war happening somewhere else and something getting something. And then there is negativity which happens in our personal sphere of life, which is people around us who are negative, people around us who are creating these vibes. And even within that, there are two types. One is negative people around us, which are family, and negative people around us who are friends. So here is my three-pronged approach towards these three categories. Number one, I remember being in the audience where the Prime Minister of Singapore was once speaking. And someone asked him, what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned as the Prime Minister of Singapore? And he said, the only lesson that I've learned, which has stayed with me, is that 99% of the problems that you go to bed with, you have no control over. 99% of the problems that you are worried about, you have no control over. There's shit that you can do. Nothing. And it takes a very different approach in life to be okay with that happening because it affects us. It affects us. If there's something that happens when we read it in the newspapers, we see it on the television, it affects us. So one is the admission that most of what's happening in the world is beyond your control. You can empathize with it. You can help it. You can contribute towards it. But you can't fix it. You can't. And there, at least my approach, which is not escapist, I genuinely believe I do a lot of good to myself by following this approach, is I shut out all negative content generating mechanisms in my life. I don't have a television. I don't watch the news. I read the newspaper only to keep myself updated, but not to feel emotionally bound towards all of that. I don't watch or listen to shitty WhatsApp groups. I am not on any. If they come, like literally they come and I swipe and I delete all the content. I don't even go through it. So I'm just part of those groups because, you know what, it's polite to be there, but I couldn't fucking care about the content coming in. कोई मर रहा है, कोई राहु, कोई केतु, कोई ये आने वाला है, कुछ वो होने वाला है. Don't care. I don't control it. If there's an earthquake tomorrow, can I fucking control it? No. Even if someone predicts it, can I do anything? No. So I don't let that bother me. So that's number one. Number two, negativity, that's because of family. That's the hardest one. So actually, let me treat that as the third one. The second one, which is negativity due to friends. I spoke about this on one of my videos, which is there are relationships that you have in your life which are energy sucking, and there are relationships that are energy giving. If you're in a relationship out of choice, you weren't born into that relationship, but you made that relationship as a choice, but it sucks the energy out of you, please take my advice and cut that relationship off from your life. It's not worth it. It will never work for you. It will only make you a miserable person. And it may seem like cold-blooded advice, but it is the right advice. Take it from someone who's fired more friends than anyone else I know. I believe in firing friends because friends at some point of time stop being friends. They become viruses. They become energy-sucking viruses. And I don't want that in my life. I am a great friend and I will more than happily help you, but you are not going to get my help at the expense of making me be energy drained. That's not going to happen. If you are not there when I go through that energy drain, you don't deserve my attention, my time, my energy at all. So I'm not going to be with anyone that sucks the energy out of me. I will only spend time with relationships that give me energy, that make me feel like I'm wanted, that I'm cared for, that I can do things for them and they appreciate it, and all those nice things. And those are relationships that we should value and spend more time towards. So that's my second approach. Third, family, hard one. My personal approach, I didn't choose them, which means I couldn't care. I genuinely couldn't care. Like, I'm close to my immediate family, my wife, my kids, my parents, but beyond that, I'm not close to anyone. And I couldn't care less. I honestly couldn't, because it's not my choice. It was imposed on me. It's not that I chose those individuals. I was just born into it. So I am not going to just stick around just because they were randomly selected as my relatives. No, it's not worth it. My life is more precious to me than anything else. My peace, my happiness is more precious to me than anything else. If there's anyone else who comes in my way of doing that, I will just cut them off. With parents, you can't. So you have to deal with it. Like, you really have to help them, work with them to find the cause of their negativity, their pain, their sorrow, their grief, and hopefully be the nice daughter, the nice son that will help them through it. Same with your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your kids, whatsoever. They need you. Like, those are relationships that I would say are very hard to say no towards. But rest. No, chacha, mama, tau, bua, fuck them, man. Seriously. Like, if they are not giving you the peace and the stability that one should get in a relationship, why the fuck would you care about them? Like, and if your parents insist that you should maintain the relationship, no, be a rebel. I have been one. So it's coming from first principles advice. Like, I'm not bullshitting my way through. This is what it is. So, you know what? Positivity is a choice. It's a choice, Pooja. It's a choice. Positivity is not something that you just randomly find because you encounter happy things in your life. It's a fucking choice. And you choose to be positive, and that only happens if you actively make decisions in your life to be around individuals that are positive. Be around information, news, content that is positive. If you go and visit an Instagram account that makes you feel shitty about yourself because of how you look and what you wear and what you eat, that is you consciously choosing negative shit. It is you, and you're to be blamed. It is your choice, and you're to be blamed. But if you go and get positively influenced by individuals who genuinely make you feel like you can become whosoever you wish to become, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do in life, that is the choice you're making for yourself in your life. I hope this helps. All right, let's get Zeel Parmar. That's a wonderful name, Zeal. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So, sir, the thing is that right now when we follow and like we follow people on Instagram, we go through Twitter and see what's going in the world, what is coming in next 15 to 25 years, so that we can see, okay, where are the opportunities or where we should really look. But the thing is, it's you know, these are the things which most of the crowd will look up to. Now, I'm asking that what are the unconventional things which we should look up to? The things which people are not really looking at. So, like, like there are some industries which people talk about that, okay, I really don't know, but people say that, okay, we should really look up to that. There is something going there. Because I personally know that I'm not a IT guy. I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I just love using tech, but I don't want to learn coding. I don't like that.
Got it. Now, if you, and let me answer the question in a slightly broader manner, Zeal, which is, what are the non-tech-led industries that could be shaping up the future?
Yeah.
And to be fair and honest, there are very few, because technology will play a part. So the question then is not about ki technology hai ki nahi. The question is it a technology first industry or a technology also industry? Because technology to sab cheezon mein lagti hai. I think my biggest answer there would be agriculture. Food is going to become a big problem and we don't recognize it. Both production and transportation and storage and consumption is going to be big problem, not just for the country but globally. And there aren't enough smart people like you who are entering into that. Like, agriculture still remains a very landlordish and very labor class industry, and there are very few entrepreneurs out there creating meaningful businesses. And it's just fascinating. Like, I've learned and dug a fair bit in agriculture, and it's just left me impressed on what all is possible. So that's number one. Number two is preventive healthcare. We as a country respond to healthcare when we are in deep trouble. उससे पहले हम कभी कुछ नहीं करते हैं. Like, जब हमारी बिल्कुल फट जाती है, तब हम जाके डॉक्टर.
We can see around ourselves.
Bilkul, right? So we are not by design a proactive culture when it comes to healthcare. And there, preventive healthcare is critical. Right? For example, getting your testing done, getting your vaccinations done, making sure that you are eating right, making sure that you are working out right, making sure that you have the right diet, the right nutrition, all of those things, they're all part of what I would call preventive healthcare. And there, very little work has been done, largely because it can't be, it's not affordable, and also because there hasn't been any excitement around that. So that's number two. And number three is, I think the big piece, but that does have a lot of technology play in it, is just finance for the masses. If you look at finance in general, it is limited to people like us who are very privileged. Like, we know what banking is, we know what investing is, we know what stock market is, we know where I can invest and buy gold or buy other things and so on. But when you look at, say, the rickshaw wala, who may just have, 500 rupees to spare a month, उनको क्या बोला जाता है? FD में करा लो, like fixed deposit करा लो. That's the only thing that they know of. And that's such a poor advice to give, because fixed deposits, it's basically money depleting. With the inflation coming in, it's money losing value, not gaining value. So finance in general for the masses is a big area, particularly for this country. And that's what I would say.
Okay, and sir, one more question. Sir, everyone has their own choice of people that they really look up to. Like, across social media, you look up to their work, what they're doing actually, their startups that you're really fan of. So, sir, how do you really approach them? Like, if you want to ask them something, you made a video on that, but I just saw the thumbnail, but I was like, okay, let me directly ask him. So I'm just asking.
I'll encourage you to watch the video. Watch the video. And once you've done that, ask me this question again with the specific question that you have in mind. Because right now the question is very broad, and I've answered that in the video.
I got
But go through that, and then you will be a lot more calculated about the question.
Okay, thank you. And sir, oh yeah, sure. Thank you.
I have to move to the other callers. But lovely
Sure,
talking to you,
please.
Zeel.
Thank
Please
you.
keep the smile on forever, and irrespective of how bad homeopathy gets to you, you do know that you're far bigger than this.
Oh, of course, that's for sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Take care.
Lovely. Take care. Bye-bye. Arushi, you're going live with me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now.
So they do say that, through a breakdown comes a breakthrough. And the industry and the field that I mean, I'm comfortable, I love my job. But it's pertaining more or less to real estate and maybe a little bit of lifestyle. So should I be in it because I'm comfortable and it pays fairly well, or should I traverse to maybe a bigger company or to sectors which will give me, a plethora of other subjects to write on? So should I just, and maybe considering the time that we are in right now, should I be sticking to what I'm doing right now, or should I just try something else?
So, okay. So for the benefit of those who may not hear Arushi very clearly, the question she's asking is, she's clearly working in sectors which are affected by COVID. And the question then is, should she continue working in those sectors because she does enjoy working in those sectors, or should she diversify and move to other sectors or do something else that is more COVID proof, if I may? And that's a fair question. I think a lot of people listening in will have the same question. So thanks for asking on their behalf as well. My approach towards this, Arushi, will be whatever is it that's happening to us globally because of COVID is technically temporary. It is unfortunately a very high impact, but it is also short term. And when I say short term, I mean something in the range of 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months, whatever, give or take. But what you know and what you're good at is for life. Like if you're a great copywriter, it's going to hold you in good faith your entire life. And there, I would encourage you not to think of sectors, but think of skills. The skill that you have is of copywriting. The skill that you have is of understanding what is it that you could write which gets to the consumer in the best manner possible, in the most concise manner possible, in the manner that catches their attention in the best manner possible. And that is a skill. Whether you apply it to a certain industry or some other industry, that's a matter of detail. And I'd say, you know what? It doesn't matter. You could pick up proof right now. You may continue to be in real estate or in lifestyle. But what is more important is your skill growing with every passing day. Are you getting better at your skill with every passing day? And if the answer is yes, then continue doing whatever you're doing. If because of the industries being hit, your skill is also getting hit because you're not getting to deploy that skill, then change. Of course, change, because you cannot allow your skill to stagnate while the industries may or may not go through. That'll be my only suggestion. Like, focus on your skill, focus what you know. You're young, you have a lot of years ahead of you, and if you were to just compound on the thing that you know better than most other people, it will just pay dividends like nothing else will.
Yeah, because lately we have been producing content more or less relating to virus. Like today, one client just called up and said he's into a niche sector. He's selling us villas. So he said, COVID or villa ka kuch kar do. Because people are not, spending 80 lakhs or a crore to buy a villa right now. But abhi sabse zyada interest rate come, like 7% they have come down, and the property
Correct.
hasn't been 5 years. So we suggested that, let's just go with the tagline, villa living wasn't, currently villa living is priceless.
Yeah.
So you need to garner attention that way. So I was like, I never thought that unprecedented times like these, ये भी creativity को इतना affect करेंगे कि COVID के ऊपर भी content बनाना पड़ेगा. Who would have thought कि COVID was related to probably hand sanitizers and wearing masks and things.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. No, it's great. You get to apply, you get to hone your skills, and that's the only thing you should care about. I'd encourage you to keep doing this. For sure. Yeah. Awesome. Great, Arushi. Lovely meeting you.
Love you as well.
Faridabad Jai Ho, and we will.
Bilkul jai, or I hope light bun jaye with every passing day.
We're not leaking secrets about what's not working in Faridabad. No, shh. Faridabad is awesome. Faridabad is rocks.
He's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. You had Arushi. Lovely speaking to you. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I hope all of you have a lovely weekend. My plan for tomorrow is to actually make pizza at home. Not just the sauce or the topping, but even the base. So I'm super excited because this is my first pizza ever that I've made from scratch. And I cannot wait to show off. Until next week, I will see you all 10 p.m. Friday Night Live with Warikoo. Have a lovely week, all of you. I love you all. Thank you so much. Bye. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that whenever we put up a new video, you're aware of it.